In this video, I'd like to take a look at some data and how we can make different displays based on the same data. So you might be tempted as a teacher just to throw this at your students and say, hey, make a bar graph, and expect them all to make a bar graph in the way you're thinking about a bar graph. However, this is not necessarily the case. If we take a look at class activity 15G, it's going to take us through and ask us to look at the data in different ways. And so here we have A, B, C, and D, 4 different ways. At first, they ask us to do a dot plot. Do you remember what a dot plot is? If we take a look here, I've already created it. You can see this shows a dot plot for the number of students and the number of pets they own. And here we can see 3 dots, so that means 3 students have 0 pets. 1, 2, 3, and so on. 5 have 1, and so on. Technically, I probably should have listed out all of these, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so we can see that the 6 and the 12 are a lot farther spread out than this, but I just left it like this for now. Then it asks to make a bar graph. By the way, I would recommend pausing this and trying this on your own, and then going through the video and looking at it. If you want to take a look at a bar graph that show how students in the class fall into categories depending on what kind of pet they have. And so if we take a look here, we can see here's a chart, a bar graph display, and we have students over here and how they fall into different categories based on what they own. So 7 students own a dog, 4 students own a cat. So this is looking at how the students fall into categories based on what they own. Part C says to do the same thing as B, only pick different categories. So in this case, I looked at number of pets owned. So we're still looking at students. We're still looking at the categories of students. So this is a category of students that have 0 pets, that have 1 pet, and so on. Also, I want to point out the similarities between these 2 graphs here. And the last one asks to find a bar graph that shows how the pets of the students in the class fall into categories. And so if we look at pets of the students, we see that there are a number of different types of pets in the class. And we can see if I look at the pets and I look at the number of mammals, the number of fish, reptiles, amphibians, so on, we can see that we can make a chart here. And so you see with this same data, I've really shown 3 unique graphs here. These 2 are similar, but we could come up with other ways of creating the graphs. And so being clear about what you're interested in. Here I'm interested in the kinds of pets that students have. Here I'm interested in the number of pets. Here I'm interested in the types of pets. And so that's really going to give a lot of direction to what type of graph. I shouldn't say what type of graph. These are all bar graphs and a dot plot. But it's going to show you how the graphs look differently. You see this graph, and this graph are very different. So just one thought for you on different perspectives you can take on the same data.